So during the art character movement, various variations came out, and I wanted to show you some of these. If you recall, I showed you that rare 103, and I said so many of the other models were made in a variety of sizes, and look at this little doll. This is the 114 model, and I'm going to show you the mark on the back of the head, which the Cameron Reinhardt always will have the model number, and then below it another number which usually refers to the centimeter size of what the doll was destined to be, which is, collectors have found a good clue to helping to verify that they have the original body on a doll. Unless, of course, it's a toddler, and then that will vary, but that's a different story. So here's a tiny, tiny little example of a 114. But then look, next to it, right here, we have a large example of a 114. Now, it's generally true that the larger examples of the models they're more desirable because A, they're much rarer to find, and B, they were made obviously for a very luxurious market and were very expensive at the time. But even more to the point, the modeling is so defined on those dolls. The larger they get, the more the modeling could be defined, and that's why they're in such great demand and so desired. What I love about the Cameron Reinhardt series is the wonderful lustrous patina that they have on the cheeks, and that just adds to its feeling of realism. So look at this, 2 dolls, both model 114 by Cameron Reinhardt, showing you the variations they could achieve. But wait, there's more. They also decided, well, these dolls weren't selling as well as they hoped they would to the general public. So maybe we better go back and make glass-eyed dolls like we had been making, because children wanted a doll, or at least their parents did, that the doll could lay down, close its eyes, stand up, open its eyes. So here we have a 114 model, the very same model, except an example with sleeping eyes. Variation that could be done. I'm going to take a minute to turn these around because, listen, I love original wigs, original soft mohair wigs. There is nothing like them. When you can find your dolls and they have these original wigs, you cherish them. Keep them out of the dust. Do not comb them out. Let those curls go the way they were destined to go, those little ringlet curls. You can sometimes pull them apart just a little bit to give them a little more life, but do not comb them under any circumstances. So there we have the little boy standing down here in his original factory costume, and his 2 older sisters have turned their back on him. Now let's move those off and let me show you something else. Another example of variation. One of the models made by Cameron Reinhardt in this art character series is marked 112. It's a 112 model. And look at them. Both of these are marked 112. Now, what are the differences? Size, certainly. They were made in a variety of sizes. And one is sleep-eyed, one is painted-eye. So different variations, trying to broaden the market for these pieces that the firm had paid good money to have these sculptures made, and they had the molds made, and now they wanted to sell them. And somehow the public wasn't going crazy over these wonderful painted eye art models that were designed to represent children in their real moods. You know, rather than just pretty, pretty dollies, they wanted to have realistic looking children, and the public wasn't buying it. So they had to go to do glass-eyed versions. The glass-eyed versions didn't sell that well either. These dolls were only made, understand, I keep repeating this, like 1909 to 1916. That short window of time. And after that time, they weren't sold. And again, in that Cieslak's article I wrote, I go back and read this every once in a while because my heart breaks when I read it. They didn't sell. The factories went in and destroyed all of the remaining dolls they had because nobody wanted them. And we want them today, but there are not many to be found. And then I wanted to show you other firms, not only Cameron Reinhardt were making them. We have lots of fabulous examples from the Lillian Hamm collection because it was one of the things that she had a special love for. I have this gorgeous, large size, 1388 model made by Simon and Halbig, the wonderful, gracious, beautiful lady with her very, very elegant look about her. And what I like about this particular model is she not only has a friendly, welcoming kind of smile, welcoming expression, but she also is intelligent looking and refined looking. And it's just a great combination of what you would hope to find. And almost invariably, the bisque on these is impeccable, just like this is, that fine, lustrous patina. This is the rare largest size, and few examples of this were made, and here she is in her very, very fine evening wear ensemble. And then there was the Gebrüder Heubach Company, who made extraordinary dolls based upon what originally had been their statuary, their figurines for the parlor, which we commonly call piano babies. And from that, they evolved. They said, well, we're making these heads for these piano babies. Let's just turn them into dolls. So they modeled it with a neck that could then be used to put onto a composition body or a kid body. This one, however, this particular model never appeared in any other manner except as this doll, and I think to my knowledge, I'm not promising I'm right on this, in this size only, and this is known as Princess Giuliani. And if you can look at photographs of the young Netherlands princess at that time, which would be about 1910, this is an exact representation of the young Princess Giuliana, which Gebrüder Heubach made into a doll. We don't know if it was a commission piece or something that they were simply inspired by her because she was so lovable and famous and a cultural phenomenon of her time. The art movement in Germany was really significant because people were inspired by things from past centuries, and very famous Italian sculptures that were done, I believe it was in the 17th century, inspired this series of dolls. And what's important here, we have 3 different doll makers. So there were 3 firms that were inspired by the statue, and the first of them was the Cathy Cruz doll with this very mournful face. And I'd like you to look at these dolls and realize they all basically are the same model, which is very, very significant to have. We have the Cathy Cruz of cloth with oil painted, and then we have the Cameron Reinhardt's 115 model. And again, remember what I said to you before, they were trying everything to make these art character dolls be popular. So variations, variations, variations. Wig model and painted hair model of the 115 model known as Philip. Both wonderful. And I wanted to show you this one in particular. I love this body. Look at this. Okay, this kid needs to be doing a little exercise because that is one chubby belly, but it is so cute the way it's made. And I think whoever buys this doll, don't ever dress it, just leave it like that. It's really cute. And then Armand Marseille decided to get in on the act too, and they introduced their model called Fanny, F-A-N-Y. And this is Fanny in a really large size, extremely rare to find. Again, in this larger size. An important thing to remember, I know a lot of you don't want larger dolls, you're looking for little 15 inches or 16 inches that fit in your cabinets, but in the art character dolls, the larger models are the creme de la creme. They're just the best. Now, scooting over here, I wanted to show you a couple other variations because there became an interest in doing dolls with brown complexions. And here's the original model from the Cameron Reinhardt Company. This is the original doll sculpted by Lou Funk. And in this variation, it was based on a little boy that he sculpted back in the 1890s, and then he turned into a doll in 1908. And this is the model. It was never intended to be. Legend used to hold that it was modeled after the German Kaiser as a baby. Never such a thing. It was simply based upon one of the earlier Italian sculptures that had been done in the 16th or 17th century. But here it's done in a beautiful, beautiful brown complexion with painted black hair. And then we have the 101 model, the Cameron Reinhardt 101 model known as Marie, also done with a beautiful brown complexion, very, very soft brown complexion, beautiful painting of the coral lips, a wonderful doll. This is, again, a different kind of variation. So we have painted eyes, glass eyes, variations in size, variations in complexions. So many things were different. I wanted to show you another perfect example of when I say the larger the doll, the more the modeling becomes dramatic. And this is the very, very famous model, the 1303 model, made by Simon and Halbig. And this doll, appeared in so many variations. It appeared with the sienna complexion as a Native American. It appeared as an old woman with glass eyes. So many variations. But here I wanted to show you the comparison of size. So you can see how the larger the doll, the more deeply the modeling goes. And this large example of this Simon and Hal Big Native American is the largest size model they've made, and extremely, extremely rare to find. The smaller one is rare also, but not as rare as this larger size. Let's show you some other wonderful things. Just a sampling of the so many fabulous French dolls that appear in the Lillian Hamm collection, The Dance of the Hours. They're just wonderful and great costumes, and some of them with just extraordinary bodies, and so we wanted you to see that as well. So we're just going to do a little quick look at them. Now, first of all, I do want to point out, and I put these little bébés in the front because I wanted you to see, those of you who collect French fashions, don't overlook the fact that these small, size 0, 1, and 2 French bébés make perfect children for your French fashion ladies, and when you're doing your displays. And so you can see that from here. Now, I think I want to begin with her, and then I can move a few off and we can see what we're doing. This is an earlier model from the French fashion period. She has what I call the Barrois look to her. It's that very pale bisque and those brilliant cobalt eyes that only appeared to a certain period of time when the use of the material to make the cobalt was outlawed because they realized it was pretty lethal. So, but the eyes they made at the time, oh, we can enjoy them today, nevertheless. Very, very beautiful. And here she has, now when the dolls were made in this period, the poupées, they could have swivel neck or shoulder head. It tends to be a preference for the swivel head because then when your two friends are talking to each other, you can turn her head and pose her to see her. I like this one in particular because I loved her costume. I thought it was really extraordinary. Beautiful silk, the beautiful lappets in the back with the silk-covered brown buttons, the silk bow. And then when we turn her around, we're going to see she has a little jewelry at the neckline. She has a little watch on the chain. And she has, where is it here? She has a little matching reticule that's hanging down to carry her coins. Just a very, very beautiful, beautiful doll. Her friend, which is probably 10 years later, is wearing an exquisite, exquisite costume. Look at this. You can't find these anymore. And when a doll appears in one, you better go for it because they are so extraordinary to find. This one has some fading, but other than that, it's in really great condition, not any frailty, just very, very strong. And the classic colors of that 1865 to 1875 period, the mauve and the cream, very, very beautifully done. And all the little fashion details like the pleats and the bows and the draping and then the accenting piping inside, very, very fine. And you can see her original wig here in the back, those little curls, very, very typical. Matching bonnet, by the way. And when you turn her around, you're going to see her wonderful jewelry. And then she has her antique boots. She is a perfect example. I recommend her highly to anyone who loves this period of doll. And if you don't, then you should develop a love for it. I'm just saying. Okay, now let's look at, we'll come back to the little children in a minute. Let's look at a few other of the fashion dolls that I brought up here for you to see. I brought up two examples of the doll known as the Smiling Gru. It's a distinctive model made by Gru. And again, I was showing you in the Cameron Reinhardt the different variations of the same model that they made. Well, the same thing was true in France. Leon Casimir Gru had this facial model design, and there's so much research over the years on who the facial model was based on. Was it the Empress Eugenie? Was it an angel that appears in a statuary on one of the famous churches, and it looks exactly like her as well? So many possibilities of who it might be, but he made this, he deposed it, so the actual model is deposed in the Paris archives to this day, And then he proceeded to make it in a variety of sizes. And we see here the difference in the sizes. All right, right here, right here. Each of these with original wig. This one, the wig is a little, well, she probably needs a few transplants. She's a little sparse, but it is the original wig with the original hair bow. And this one with beautiful, long, waist-length ringlet curls and the original ribbon still interwoven into the top of the hair. And now the bodies. Very classic French kid body with what I refer to as the square-cut collarette, unlike most French fashions that had the rounded, curved front. But this one is square. The extra body detail of that reinforcing on the body with the extra, like piping, I guess you'd call it there. Very, very sturdy. Helped keep these bodies really sturdy. Now, look at this one. This is the wooden body deposed by Gru. Very, very distinctive wooden body that appears to be used only by him and based upon the mannequin, artist mannequin that had been popular for the past several hundred years with the ball swivel waist and the extra articulation, jointing at the ankles, jointing at the wrist, shoulders, elbows, hips, and knees, and really nicely shaped, rounded buttocks there. They've been doing their exercises. They're okay. They're in good shape. Now, then there were other variations. There, for example, there was the kid-bodied one that had the wooden arms. And then later on, they were also making them for places that wanted to sell dolls that were costumed. Very often, the boutiques outside of Paris that were selling dolls in native folklore costume of their area, and they would make for them a nice quality but different, like a firmly stuffed muslin body with kid hands only. And so different variations you'd find on the wonderful Gru fashion. And here's two great ones in wonderful, wonderful condition. And while we're sticking of bodies, I wanted to point out this to you. Always, if you look for variation in your Jumeaus, you might want to look for variation to find dolls that have a different body. And this one is rarely found, and you are likely not even to notice it. You might go to a doll show and see dolls and you say, oh, that's pretty, but unless someone calls it to your attention, you might not notice if the doll has the carved wooden body. All right, only appeared on a few other dolls. There were some made for Gru at this time and some made for the Hooray Bébé, but in Jumeau, very, very seldom ever appear. And this is an example of one. What's great about it, it has so many different articulation possibilities, even more so than the composition body, because the wooden bodies tended to really hold their pose. So this is a very rare doll coming up. And to make it even more palatable to you, look at those eyes. She has a beautiful face, deep, splendid blue eyes. Don't miss your opportunity on this. So while we're staying with the naked-bodied kids, I wanted to show you this. This little girl does have a dress that comes with her, but I photographed her in the catalog naked because I want, when a perfect body from a doll, remember these dolls are now what? This is, so 1885, do the math, let's see. What is that, 130 years old? I think so. My math could be wrong. But like 130 years old, and this little body is as perfect as anything. And look, original wig. And what is in the wig? The original comb that came on Jumeau dolls. Now, how often do you find that? You just don't. So she has everything going for her. This adorable size, this perfect body, original wig with the hair comb. And she does have her original underwear and this very, very sweet little dress. So I would recommend you show the dress on the form if you have her in your collection and show the body, but of course it would be your doll to have as you wish. Now while we're sticking with little dolls, let's just talk about these then, because we have three more. This is a wonderful doll, and I want to show you what it is. It is the Paris Bébé. And I don't think, if memory serves me, that I have ever seen one in this small size. They're usually in at least a 17 or 18-inch size, and then sometimes you'll have one, you'll be lucky enough to find one that could be in like the 25 or 26-inch size. But this tiny size that everyone wants, and you have to admit, when you look at it, that face is different. Those beautiful brown eyes, very, very sweet little costume. She is, again, perfect original body, everything going for her. Let me turn her around so you can see her wig in the back. I love this doll. She would make my list of top 10 for this auction. I think she's a prize. Paris Bébé. And then we have a classic Bébé from Jumeau, the classic Tête Jumeau, brown-eyed also, and a wonderful antique costume, and I wanted you to see her. And then, oh, what a dream doll. This is a dream doll. This gorgeous, small, let me see if I can show you the mark, if it's not too far down. It's a Brujon 1. I don't know if you'll be able to pick up the mark there. Perhaps you can. But this is a size 1 of the classic Brujon. And when people talk about the Bru, they sometimes use the phrase, the face. And this is the face. This is the face everyone wants. Very, very dreamy kind of look to it, and very soft and very gentle. Finest modeling on her. Perfect little bisque hands. And I will call to your attention, there's that initial B on the bottom of her shoes. Original costume. This is a doll that is just grand in every way. Body is very, very sturdy. See the back of her costume. Well, you know the great thing about these little ones too is you can really never have too many. You can always find room for one more. These are 3 fabulous examples of the little miniature dolls, as well as the girl with the comb in her hair. While we're sticking with Bru, I want to show you this one. This is an extraordinary, I don't know what the right word is, mulatto, cafe au lait, the color of her complexion. I want to be sure I don't use any phrase that is an offensive phrase, and I looked it up actually to see if I was saying anything that would bother anyone. It doesn't seem to be. But for my feeling, if you're collecting a brown composition, a brown complexion doll, the ones that have the lighter skin tend to be able to show the rest of the definition more clearly, to show the lips, to show the eyebrows. And when they have almost this kind of golden look to them, it really, really enhances the whole look in a very lustrous patina. Beautiful doll in every way. Original, I believe, original costume. And let me see. No, French shoes, but not original Bru shoes, but original wig. And everything about her. Hands are perfect. That's always, when the bisque hands are perfect on a Bru, that's a big thing for me. And of course, the body is the original body as well. So another outstanding example of people that are only looking for the best of the best. I'm showing you examples here of things that I think really fit that category. And finally, a very rare French doll that I do want to show you. If they say that there is the face for the Bru that everyone instantly recognizes, they also would say the same thing about the AT, the Bébé by André Tullier, marked AT in the back of the head. The face. The face is the one that's very soft. It has very, very delicate, pale complexion with softest rose look. But more than anything, it's like the painting of the lips, the modeling itself. This is a very, very wonderful example of it. Most often they will come, these earlier examples come on the original or come on a kid Bébé body, of which this one has the original. And you can see a photograph of it online, and I believe in the catalog. And when I turn her around, you'll see the beautiful back of her hair again. And the kid bodies have the gusset jointing and hopefully perfect bisque hands, which this one has. The bisque hands are distinctly different from the hands on the Bru Bébé, which tend to be more slender. These are much more defined knuckles and curving of the palm, defined fingernails, very, very beautiful. She has a wonderful antique costume, including the bonnet and her leather shoes. So gorgeous French dolls here.